Hey, what's up, guys? This is Courtney from Willis Bloom, and I am back with a important video, actually. I mean, they're all important, but this one is especially significant because today we're going to be talking about the Aries new moon happening on March 21st. And this is such a big deal because this is actually the start of our astrological new year. So we have essentially 3 starts for every year, and one of them is this one, the astrological new year. Of course, everyone knows January 1st, which is when everyone just kind of has a calendar turnover. And then the other one is the solar return chart. So when you have your birthday, you actually have a brand new chart that represents the energy of your next year. And that is also kind of like a new start for you. So we all have 3 significant new starts in a year. And this is one of them for all of us. So I'm really excited about this. I am ready for some new, fresh energy to come in. I do think things could be a little bit chaotic, especially because I do feel that the timing of something matters. So, for example, the fact that this new astrological year is starting off today or on the 21st, whenever this comes out, the chart of that day is going to kind of represent the energy moving forward for us. And this is always going to be in the sign of Aries because, of course, that is the first sign of the zodiac. And so we're starting off at Aries, 0 degrees of Aries. So it's the beginning of the beginning. But this new moon is making a square to Mars, which is the ruler of Aries. So I am kind of curious to see what type of disruptive energy we have going on this year. We also have Jupiter in the sign of Aries, so we have quite a bit of fiery energy coming through. And I'm definitely seeing that when it comes to money. I think many of us might be moving into a more entrepreneurial type of avenue, or we might be taking more risks with our money. And I say that not because I think that's like the recommendation necessarily, but I could kind of see our financial market changing in the US, and as a result, people wanting to find money in different ways. So that could be, starting their own type of job. They're not working for somebody, but working for themselves, creating something that could look like investing in real estate because they're looking to have renters and make money that way. I kind of feel like many of us might feel the volatility of the stock market this year. And so I do think that that could bring up the desire to take things a little bit into our own hands because the stock market is very much something that is out of our control. And so I kind of am predicting that over the course of the next year, many people will move towards a greater sense of independence, especially when it comes to financial management. And I think that banks will also try to create some kind of universal digital currency, but that's for another video. If you're interested in that, let me know down below if you're interested in kind of like the predictions that I have coming up for our financial future and kind of what has happened in the past based off of certain transits, then let me know because I was interested in doing something in regards to this topic. But the reason I'm talking so much about money is because when I pulled so many cards for this transit and this day, I got the Ace of Pentacles, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Wealth card, and started off by the Wheel of Fortune. So a lot of energy around like physical properties. The Pentacles are physical properties, but then the Wealth card obviously is talking about, well, I mean, it could be talking about any kind of wealth, but in this instance, I'm taking it to mean monetary wealth. So I feel like many of us could have some kind of new opportunity come up for us around the start of this new moon in Aries, where we have the potential to create something for ourselves. The Queen of Pentacles is quite entrepreneurial. She's a leader at the very least. So she is taking steps again on her own accord and her own responsibility to create something that she really wants for herself. And this is going to look like wealth for many of us, like maybe another source of income. But I think for some of us, it could also indicate other types of wealth in which we have felt like we've been really imbalanced. I see us taking the steps to actually lay some foundation in the area of life that we have felt a lack. And with the Wheel of Fortune card, I feel like this is telling us that things are going to be turning more in our favor, especially because this is a new moon in Aries when Jupiter is in the sign of Aries. We are given the opportunity now to have the universe on our side when it comes to doing things on our own. The sense of independence, making a difference in our own lives, taking initiative, taking action, not just kind of waiting for things to pass us by. That's really promoted here during this next astrological year and at this new moon in particular. However, we also have Saturn just moving into the sign of Pisces, just recently moved into the sign of Pisces. I'm going to do a whole separate video on this. I'm recording that on Monday. But Saturn in Pisces has its own unique challenges where it is also asking us to kind of have one foot in the material world and one foot in more of the celestial, energetic, spiritual world. And kind of figuring out that balance of flowing with our energy and divine inspiration and our dharma and our purpose. And the other is a more practical side of life, like, okay, I have to get this done and this is my schedule. So it's not just the aggressive kind of Aries energy that we're seeing this year. This is being tempered by Saturn and Pisces that is trying to teach us the lesson of how to not only pursue these things with bravery and courage and independence, and with some kind of like fierceness, but more so in the sense of conviction and courage over what we're doing. But it also wants us to have patience and wisdom in this journey and recognize that the things that we're pursuing also take time and also have kind of divine elements to them that we cannot rush, that we cannot force. And sometimes Aries it's a little bit juvenile in the sense that it thinks that it has full control. It thinks that it's by its pure efforts, it can move forward. And that's a huge part of it. But the divine has its own laws and its own timing and its own nature that will ultimately affect the way that things flow and move forward. So there is going to be this really interesting juxtaposition of let's take risks, do things on our own, make our desires actualize out in the world. And let's also reconnect to our spirit. Let's be patient when things don't work out right away. But ultimately, with the Wheel of Fortune, Ace of Pentacles, and Queen of Pentacles, they will work out. They will grow into something substantial. It just might not have that linear, kind of direct, focused progress that humans desire, and especially Aries, which is a sign of the ram. Like, of course the ram wants to head straight for its target and its goal, and that's not really what Pisces energy is about with Saturn and Pisces. There are going to be lessons that take us on detours that will help us evolve as a soul and will help us reconnect to a deeper purpose so that we don't get so focused on the earthly mission that we lose touch with our soul's mission. And sometimes those can start to go in different directions when we get overly kind of hyper focused on the direction that we want to go in to achieve certain material desires. But I am seeing us achieving those things in the long run. So I feel like this is a new moon that is setting us up for success by the end of the year. I think it's really telling us that we have what it takes. We will get what it takes. But I think many of us are going to have to make certain adjustments. And that's because this new moon, as I mentioned, is making a square to Mars in Gemini. So a fiery new moon like this, with a square to its ruler, because Mars rules Aries, is definitely going to bring about quite a bit of like inner tension, but I think in a good way. And this is the start of the spring equinox, I think the day before. So this isn't just, oh, it's the new year. It's also a new season. So we're turning a new leaf. We're having the birds start coming out and chirping. The grass is greener. I mean, I live in Colorado, so our snow is almost entirely melted, which is a little bit sad. But we are kind of getting that spring feeling. And it's funny because I pulled two animals associated with that, with the nightingale, which is a bird, and then the rabbit, these have very much spring energy kind of animals to them. And so there's something about the rabbit that is really prolific, that tends to have lots of babies. And so there's something about this period of time in which we are a lot more fertile as people, or the energy is a lot more fertile. The soil is a lot more fertile for us to plant our seeds of intention. So make sure that you guys do that, because it is a new moon and it is the astrological new year. And if you live anywhere near Longmont and you want to have a yoga ceremony and actually talk about the astrology and plant your seed of attention with the group, then hit me up, because I am running a circle like that with a friend of mine. So I think for many of us, it's our time to speak those desires out loud with the nightingale. Make sure that we have a very clear idea of what we want. Even though those things can undergo a transformation with Saturn and Pisces, we also have to remain somewhat detached. So we have to really embody the nuance of the yin and the yang. So the nuance of let's get super focused, direct, create structures, plan, and head towards our goal with that masculine focus, which is Aries. And then the other energy is Pisces, where Saturn is. And if we have too much focus, if we're obsessive or, again, hyper focused, then we will lose sight of the bigger picture, and we will lose sight of kind of the inner why behind all of this anyway. So we need to embody a certain amount of detachment from exactly what it should look like. But the energy, maintain an attachment to the energy is what is important here. So we're having one foot in both worlds, which is why this year can be somewhat uncomfortable, but also really beneficial. And again, with this rabbit card, I really feel that if we speak our intentions out loud, we will notice that they are much more prolific, or they're much more abundant. The rabbit in the Chinese tradition is an extremely abundant animal. And we also have the wealth card. So I do think many of us will have new ideas or opportunities that come in that can bring us wealth, especially as spiritual people. I think that we can actually move through times of economic crisis or recession differently, because we have a lot more support, because we are tuning into our intuition. We're tuning into our guides. So we're not just left to being kind of swayed by the crowds and by the waters and, oh, we're just a victim to life circumstances. I really don't see it that way. And I hope that you guys see that as well. And an Aries new moon is absolutely about taking life into your own hands, holding the reins of that wild horse, and realizing that while the horse might be crazy, and sometimes will buck, sometimes will run, you do have some semblance of control. And so we're not just, again, victims. We are connected to spirit. And I really do believe that we're able to receive messages about how to create abundance in our lives despite what's going on around us. And I really feel that with this square to Mars in Gemini, we are going to have to change some aspects of the way that we move towards our goals. We're going to have to change our certain perspectives, our ideas, or there might be some bumps along the way that come up that we have to kind of face head on. And Mars, it's a square to Mars. So part of us might want to run away. Part of us might want to resort to old tactics where we kind of feel subdued, or we ignore it, or we start numbing or shutting down or distracting ourselves. But with this square to Mars, it's saying that we need to face this head on, especially mentally, by having the courage and conviction within our mind, followed by our actions, which I feel like is this buffalo card here. So we will have certain bumps and certain storms that we need to weather, but that square to Mars is saying that we cannot give up. We have to hold on and keep moving towards the goal no matter what. This Aries new moon is also conjunct Neptune. So that's very much the energy of what I was mentioning, where Saturn is in Pisces, where we are very much given our focus and our drive, but at the same time, we're also given this kind of spiritual inspiration and connection that we need to honor as well. So if you ever feel like you are pursuing something at the cost of your soul's energy, or if you feel like your life is becoming really imbalanced, which sometimes Aries energy can do when it becomes hyper-focused, it's going to be important to make sure that you take more time out to rest and reflect, because you might miss these really important guideposts and messages from the universe about what it is that could actually bring you your desires and your abundance if you're so focused on doing that next task and what's right in front of you. And so if you don't take that time to make sure that you connect with yourself, you're kind of missing a really big part of the equation that's really present for us the entire year, but especially at this new moon in particular. Lastly, this new moon is making pretty much an exact sextile to Pluto, which right now is at 29 degrees and some change in Capricorn. So we already know, I've already kind of discussed this, that 29 degrees of Capricorn, where Pluto is residing, does tend to bring up a lot of shakiness in our foundations, especially when it comes to existing institutions. And this is kind of why I wanted to make a video about this in terms of banking and what is going to happen in our economy. But Pluto at 29 degrees has already brought about the failure of some banks. There has already been like a venture capital bank that didn't have the funds when everyone tried to cash out. So how is that going to affect all these businesses and all these investments and all the employees and trickle down into the economy? We already are seeing, changes to real estate and predictions about what's going to happen with that. So there are so many elements of the institutions, the economy, the government that are undergoing a crisis, essentially, or the slow unfolding of a crisis and a recession. And so Pluto at 29 degrees is kind of that plot line or that storyline in the background. But this new moon is making a sextile to that planet. So it's talking about how we actually have opportunities that can be born out of uncomfortable circumstances. And I think that this is super important, and I'm probably the perfect person to give this message, because it has always been my belief that just because things are seemingly going down, we don't have to go down with the ship. Or if there are things that are at least volatile or unknown and we're uncertain about them, we don't have to make that define our future and our choices. There are ways in which people become the most successful during these periods of time. So there are many businesses that have been founded during periods of recession and crisis, and some of the richest people in the world actually make their most money during these periods of time. And I'm not trying to say that we're going to have like a huge recession, because I don't actually know that for sure. Intuitively, I do think that is still going to come or is still unfolding. People are talking about a soft landing or it not really happening or it not being that big of a deal. To the extent it's happening or not, I'm not sure, like to how severe, but I do really think that a recession is underway and is currently happening. So it is our chance to be thinking entrepreneurially, to be thinking with an Aries mindset of a pioneer. How can I do things differently than I've done them before, than other people have done them, that aligns more with my soul purpose, that can help me create abundance even during a time when things are uncertain? And we have to think outside of the box. If you've been showing up at work 9 to 5, investing in a 401k, doing the same thing that everyone in society has told you to do, that might not actually work during this period of time, because the structures are changing. Pluto is about to move into Aquarius. It's kind of hanging out between Aquarius and the end degrees of Capricorn for this entire year, and it's then fully shifting in 2024. So during this period of time, there are a lot of structures that are continuing to evolve, and it's important for us to be brave enough to take chances on things that feel right for us, very intuitively and soul driven, instead of just being told what to do, which is very Capricornian. So this sextile with Pluto and Capricorn is saying that this is the perfect environment for us to realize our own personal empowerment and our own decision making in this process, and to change our perspective on things a little bit so that we can take action on the things that we desire and that we may not feel like are possible if we continue to do things as we've done them. We also have some other transits happening alongside this new moon. So these are not aspects to the moon, but they're happening between other planets. So one thing I found really interesting is that we have Venus conjunct Juno and the North Node all in the sign of Taurus. They're all within 1 and 2 degrees apart from each other. So I found this super fascinating. And then the fact that I pulled so many cards around abundance and material possessions, because Venus and Taurus and the North Node and Taurus is very much leaning us towards how do we create physical abundance for ourselves so that we feel like we have the best chance of survival and thriving. So Taurus is very much a survival instinct type of sign. And then we have Venus here, which is the ruler of Taurus, giving it more blessings, more ideas, more connections in order to create that result in our lives. On top of that, we have Juno as well, which is a marriage asteroid. So we have a lot of devotion and the opportunity for interconnectedness or community to help us create the abundance that we're looking for. So if you've been really solo, there is something about this Aries new moon and Jupiter in Aries that does encourage a solo journey. However, there's also this element here of we are stronger together, or I actually need other people in order to make this happen. So I don't believe that an Aries new moon with Jupiter in Aries means that we're completely meant to be focusing on our goals alone. I truly do think that we need some semblance of community, connection, outreach, communication with other people in order to create this lasting abundance. It's through that networking that we even can serve one another, and that's where abundance comes from. It comes from everyone around us and then from us to them. So this is going to be an important aspect to not forget, is our devotion to serving people and to working with people and honoring those divine connections with others. We also have Mars making a square to Neptune. This was exact, well, today when I'm recording this, which is March 14th. And it's also trining Saturn. So the square to Neptune can make us feel like we are in some ways a little bit lost, like we are not totally sure about our path forward. We have purpose, and I made a whole post about this on YouTube. So if you haven't seen it yet, go check out my community tab on the channel. But there's something with Mars when it makes a square to Neptune that dissipates some of its courage or conviction and makes it feel like it has some semblance of self-doubt or uncertainty about the path forward. So if you have been feeling more lethargic or uncertain, or you feel like you kind of know, but you don't know, and you're kind of wishy-washy, you're going back, you're going forth about what you want or about the end goal or how to get there, just know that this is really normal. But with that trine to Saturn, it's still asking us to take steps forward and have a plan. With the square to Neptune, it's again the same message around being detached from everything being how we expect it to be, because that's not life. With the trine to Saturn, we need to think in long term. So not just kind of what we want today, but what do we want by the end of the year? What do we want before 2024 rolls around? What are we trying to manifest? Creating a sort of plan that can get us there, having a little bit of an idea of the how. And then the square to Neptune is like, okay, now that you know your how, let's detach from that, because it's probably going to be different than you actually thought. So don't actually be so confident that this is the exact way, because life is so much more than this. And so there's, again, that balance of being halfway in, halfway out, planning, working, focused, but also detached and in the flow and connected with your soul. And I've already kind of mentioned this, so I'm not going to drill that in anymore. The last aspect is valuable to mention is Jupiter being conjunct Chiron, which was exact on March 11th. So this began a brand new cycle of our independence, because Chiron has been in Aries for, oh gosh, I don't even remember, but it has been in Aries for a while now. Chiron is a very slow transiting asteroid. And Chiron represents where as a collective we are trying to heal. And with Jupiter on Chiron, many of us are trying to heal our inner masculine because it's in the sign of Aries. So, which is where this new moon is taking place. So you can see how this is giving us this beautiful jumpstart into the new year to be brave and courageous and go after what we want, because we're coming at it from a little bit more of a healed place. And so if there have been elements within us where we have been neglecting our inner masculine, which is represented by having boundaries and structure in our life, knowing when to say no to ourselves and others, having a definite goal and knowing when you've reached that goal, giving yourself support, so encouragement along the way, and having confidence. This could also look like leadership, taking risks, being brave. So there's a lot to the masculine energy, but it has a lot to do with the forward action and momentum, the steps that we take, the structure that we adhere to. And again, this energy is, the feminine energy is also really predominant this year anyway, as well. But Jupiter being on Chiron at this new moon is showing us that we can actually make a lot more progress because we're truly tapping into more of the healthy masculine within us and understanding what kind of structure and discipline we need, especially with Mars making a trine to Saturn. This is giving us that support for how to create this plan moving forward. So I'm very excited about that. Jupiter conjunct Chiron. I'm not sure how often that happens. I would assume every 12 years or so. So that's not a very common transit, and it is a significant one to look out for. So let's go ahead and jump into what this is going to look like for all of the rising signs. Oh, and don't forget to watch for your sun sign as well. All right, up first we have Aries Rising and Sun. So this new moon beginning the astrological new year is very significant. If you have not watched my intro, make sure you go ahead and do that because this is a really big deal, especially for you guys because this new moon is happening in your first house. And it's conjunct Mercury and Neptune, squaring Mars, sextiling Pluto. So first of all, I think that many of you guys are going through almost like a destruction of your old self, a beginning or birthing of your new self, especially in your career because of the sextile to Pluto in your 10th house. But I really felt that way with the snake and the destruction card, which is about, I feel, fully ending cycles that you maybe have felt like you have been stuck in for a really long time. And this could be especially true in regards to cycles around anxiety, mental health. If you felt like your level of busyness has really gotten the best of you, there's something in regards to that area of your life that is going to have to shift a little bit. And I think it's going to help you actually feel more empowered about your journey ahead, about your long-term goals, and potentially your career success as well. So for example, let's say that you have been overly busy and not taking care of your mental health. Or let's say that you have been just not having the best kind of talk to yourself. I really see that starting to shift because of the square to Mars. And it might shift because you feel discomfort in some area of your life, or there could be some uncomfortable situation that comes up where you realize you've been looking at things like the glass is half empty. And I really feel that because I see the Five of Pentacles and the Two of Swords. This could be related to you guys not knowing what you want in the future in terms of relationships. That doesn't have to be the case, but I think that many of you guys could be or could have been in a state of feeling like something was missing. This could look like, with the Five of Pentacles and Two of Swords, feeling like some type of lack mentality or that you're not supported. So this could be financially or within relationships. And this could cause you to have a lot of questioning with the Two of Swords, a lot of doubts, a lot of uncertainties. And I do think that many of you guys have been going through a beautiful healing process because Jupiter was just conjunct Chiron in Aries. This is significant for you because you are Aries and this is in your first house. But that means that you are evolving past some cycle where you may have been self-sabotaging because there's a lot of fear around being hurt. And I see that very strongly, that there is some type of shutting down with the Five of Pentacles. Let me shut down, let me restrict my energy, let me not have hope or reach for something because of my desire to keep myself safe. And this could be really subconscious. But next to the Two of Swords, I feel like this could have come out in a lot of indecision. I don't know what I want. I don't know the way forward. I don't know if I want this relationship or if I want this job. It's going to be different for all of you. But there's going to be some facet of your life where I think that you guys weren't letting yourselves be happy because of, again, fear of being hurt. And with this square to Mars in the third, it's time to shift this mindset, which again tends to happen through something uncomfortable. Like, okay, you're going to have more anxiety or something happen in your life that is an impetus for a breakthrough of feeling differently. And I think it's going to help you a lot because there are some things that you still won't have answers to, especially because Mars is still squaring Neptune. But with the trine to Saturn, I really see that your confidence is going to help you move forward anyway. And I see that with the Queen of Wands and the Seven of Cups. There's something about this energy that you're no longer just allowing yourself to get stuck in a cycle of overthinking and self-sabotage. You might still have unknowns, but you're deciding anyway that you want to move forward and take chances and figure it out as you go, which is very much this Page of Pentacles energy. I'm just kind of dipping my toes. I'm going here, I'm going there. And eventually I think what I want will come to fruition. But I don't need to know everything up front. And what you're doing is I think you're becoming much more in tune with your soul. This new moon is conjunct Neptune, which is our soul, of course. And so there's something here around that where you are feeling things, you are being inspired, you are trusting your intuition, you're trusting your heart. And that's what I think you have been so afraid of doing in some instances. And this Page of Cups and Ten of Cups is an indication that trusting your heart is going to eventually lead you to this great emotional happiness, even if it just means that you're fully expressed. And you can reach this Ten of Cups even before you have all the things that you want in the material world because you're just following your heart and enjoying each day. And so I'm seeing you guys shift from this really kind of heady mentality with this square to Mars, which is in the sign of Gemini, which is all intellect. It's the square is saying that's not working anymore. We have to shift this. You're shifting that into a much more emotion, heart-centered place. And you're able to do that because with Jupiter Chiron conjunction that happened on the 11th, there was a healing process within the soul, within the heart, within the aura. Maybe some of your aura was patched if you believe in that. And it allows more energy to be maintained within it, if that makes sense. You are more of a container. So I can think and feel more positively and hold that frequency because I have had healing done. So I think that this is super important for you guys because I think it's going to lead you to this feeling of inner stability, inner confidence, knowing and trusting yourself. With the North Node in your second house, the focus has been on creating this inner stability within yourself all along. And that is the foundation that will help you take emotional risks. If you don't feel strong within yourself, you might not put your heart out there. You might not go for that job. You might not move countries or do the thing that you've always wanted to do, which is your birthright as an Aries rising, to take the liberty of taking a risk. And so I really feel that you guys are moving in that direction, and I'm very excited for you, and especially to see how this changes and evolves your career dimensions with that sextile to Pluto on the 10th. I definitely think you guys are going to feel more empowered in your career and your life objectives and a lot more focused on that area of your life. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Aries. If that resonates, please let me know by liking, commenting down below, and I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Taurus rising. So this Aries new moon, which is the start of the astrological new year, is a really big deal. If you have not already watched my intro, make sure you do that because again, this is really significant. So for you guys, this Aries new moon is conjunct Mercury and Neptune, and it's in your 12th house. So I definitely think that this has to do with your past because the first card that came flying out was the Six of Cups. And the 12th house is the house that's often associated with our past, along with the 4th and the 8th houses. So the Six of Cups usually talks about memories. What's interesting is that we also have the Queen of Pentacles and the Moon card. So there is something about this new moon that is going to bring up memories, that is going to give you the opportunity to bring light to things that have been unseen or unknown about yourself before, so that you can nurture them and take care of them in a practical way. That's really what the Queen of Pentacles represents. The Moon card may say that there's still elements of this that extend deeper into the subconscious. So it's not about pulling it out at the root and getting every little last speck. There are things embedded in the subconscious for a reason. Our subconscious is here to protect us. If we're not ready, we won't hear it. So it's more so about this simple act of allowing, receiving, in a very almost kind of gentle way. And I especially see that with the Queen of Pentacles, which I feel like always is going to encourage us to make sure that we have some quiet time, some space to reflect. I will always say that when I see a new moon in the 12th house, full moon in the 12th house, because ultimately our soul is trying to speak to us. It's not going to get through to us in its little whispers if we're running around town, shopping, talking to friends, eating. We have to have some semblance of silence. And so, especially because this new moon is conjunct Neptune, this is such a good time to meditate, to do a shadow work journal, an inner child work journal, to think about things that are coming up in your life now that are actually repeated patterns of the past cycles, which can represent our shadow kind of reincarnating in different forms in our present life. And those are not always the easiest to recognize on our own. But if you're noticing any type of triggering feelings, then that is going to represent something that has deeper wounds behind them, past memories behind them that you can explore. Some of those triggers might especially come around finances right now, or something related to our sense of independence, our worthiness, and our confidence. So if those areas of your life feel like they are under threat or under siege, it's because we're having this new moon make a square to Mars in the second house. So something about that area of your life has been going through this larger process of being reworked. That's where you have Gemini. Mars has been in the sign of Gemini since all the way back into 2022. And it went direct there for a few months, retrograde. Now it's going direct again. This is the last little push it's going to have in Gemini. So it's a really big deal that Mars has been kind of sitting here working with you on the area of finances and possessions and our self-confidence, our worthiness, as well as independence. So these areas of your life, again, have been under scrutiny or more focus. What is it about that area that isn't up to par? And there might be something related to your past, some memory of our childhood, that has kind of leaked through to the present, that has made you realize, oh shit, that one thing that my parents said to me, or that one event that happened at school, or that super traumatic thing where I had this really embarrassing thing happen to me, that has actually made me believe this about myself. And that has actually prevented me from taking greater risks in my life. That's what Aries new moons are about. They're about us becoming independent and taking risks on our goals and our dreams. But there's something about this energy that was suppressed within you during childhood, or that wasn't fully embraced. Taurus, as a Taurus, you are also really independent. It's not necessarily that you're not naturally going to be self-sufficient. It will depend on your birth chart. But the Aries energy in particular is a little bit more kind of courageous and willing to take risks on the things that it personally desires. So as a Taurus, you might want that independence, but you might take the slow route. You might go step by step. You might not think about these other options that are out there. You might not even see them in your awareness because your reticular activating system isn't even primed to recognize opportunities out there that involve higher risk. And so there's something about this that maybe makes you feel that risk or taking chances on yourself is unsafe. And so I think a lot of this new moon is helping you rewire any kind of childhood beliefs that are making you feel like there's one way of achieving your goals, or that there's one specific path, especially any path that feels really traditional or really safe. you will naturally gravitate towards that. But there's something about this year where we're meant to be pushing beyond those boundaries. And there's a memory from your past or something from your childhood that is preventing you from doing that. And so it's important to know with this Weaver card that you guys are in the process of weaving your own life and your own reality, which means that you have the say over whether or not you stay in this really known kind of path that you've been on, or if you step outside of that box, if you do something that you hadn't considered before. And the only way to do that is to feel like you are safe and confident in yourself to take those chances, and then you will see that new opportunities can pop into your field of vision. Otherwise, if you don't feel that you're safe, they won't even present themselves to you. So a lot of this is about changing your belief systems, especially this new moon is making a beautiful sextile to Pluto in your ninth house. There is something, the word came to me, was fucked up. I'm sorry. There's something fucked up about your beliefs right now, especially because Pluto's at 29 degrees, a critical degree of Capricorn, where we're almost like in a crisis in whatever area of our life where Pluto is, wherever 29 degrees of Capricorn is. So that area for you is your beliefs. So there's something about your vantage point of the world that's fucked up. And I don't mean to use that with judgment. I just mean to say it's not aligned with actually where you have the potential to go. It's keeping you small. And Pluto here wants you to feel empowered. It wants you to see things differently so that you believe that you are powerful enough to weave the life that you desire. And you also have Venus conjunct Juno in the North Node in Taurus in your first house. Very relationship-oriented energy. This is already a year for you in which a lot of personal growth is happening because the North Node is in your first house, which is, again, a lot around self-sufficiency. It's almost like when the caterpillar is starting to push out its wings to come out of the cocoon and become the butterfly. That's really the year when you have the North Node in your sign. It's kind of helping you transform and push past certain limitations. And this could definitely be in the area of relationships for some of you guys with this Venus, Juno, Taurus, North Node conjunction happening in your first house. This year might be a big time of transforming your existing relationships or the way that you attract partners or the kind of people that you like to be around. This doesn't have to be a romantic partnership necessarily. For many of you, it will be because Juno is a marriage asteroid. But there's something around this where you guys are meant to grow significantly. And I see that especially because I feel like you've been almost in arrested development with the Four of Wands and the Strength card. The Four of Wands is also a card of like wedding and celebration. So it reminds me of a married couple. And this, I think, is any union of souls, any kind of connection. With the Strength card, there's this feeling of like really holding on or being stuck or having to persevere, trying to find that union or that bliss that you're looking for, or trying to maintain it with an existing partner, or trying to figure out how to find your tribe. There's something around this where I feel like you guys have had a tight grip, but again, somewhat of arrested development where it's like, I'm gonna be strong. I got this. But there's something about it where I feel like you need to let go, especially with this Hanged Man. I feel like you need to let go a little bit. Like I feel that this person is caught up in their own stories. They're caught up in their own experiences and their past. And it's really, again, the arrested development is keeping them in a state of pause. But I think that this year for you, as we move forward, is actually about coming out of that. So if you've been feeling like you've been kind of stuck, I see that starting to slowly transition, especially because this card, this Hanged Man, they're stuck in the rope. But then the Strength card, this person is freeing the whale from the rope. So there's something here around how can I use my own self-sufficiency, my own confidence to feel like I'm freeing myself from ropes of attachment to people or types of relationships that are really not suiting me, that are really not part of my future. And it's really about recognizing how special you are as well with the firefly and the unicorn. It's really about seeing that you're a special person who has so much light to give. And being wary, because sometimes when we have lots of light, we will attract the moths and the bugs to our flame. So there's something about this where you're creating your own light, your own happiness from within, and you're not searching for it outside as much, which I think will actually attract what you're looking for in the end. But at the same time, you're also turning away that which doesn't match you. You're recognizing that you are the unicorn, that you are special, that you're this gentle, creative, and magical creature, and that you deserve what you desire. So a lot coming in around building strong relationships, especially because, again, this new moon is squaring Mars in the second, which is about having self-sufficiency, confidence. And then that Mars is trining Saturn in the 11th, saying that that will then establish your long-term connections, your community, your friends, because you'll start to see your own worthiness reflected in those around you. So this is going to be an important time for you guys. I'm really excited for the year ahead. Don't forget to subscribe, give me a like, and comment down below if it resonates, and I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, my Gemini Sun and Risings. So this is a significant Aries new moon. It is starting the astrological new year. If you haven't watched my overview, definitely go and check that out because it's a big deal. So this new moon is happening with Mercury, which is your planetary ruler, in the sign of Aries, of course, and it's in your 11th house. So this is a new beginning for you in the area of community. If there have been ways in which you've done things alone, or you have felt alone, or you have felt disconnected or unsupported in some ways, this is your chance to make that different. So that could look like, if you're a business owner like me, trying to do everything on your own and then shifting into creating more of a community element. That could look like, if you have been single for a long time, finally kind of trying to find a partner, or maybe trying to meet new friends that you feel like are a lot more in alignment with who you are. So I definitely feel like that sense of aloneness that you guys may have been experiencing is starting to die down, and you're going to be stepping into a more community, friendship, people-oriented, relationship-oriented year. So I definitely see that. The 11th house is also associated with our long-term visions. So it has kind of like our plan, our 3 to 5 year plan. What do we want? So this could also be a really great time to get clear around what that actually is for you. What inspires you, especially to take chances on, to do that you have never done before. This is an Aries moon, which means that there is a pioneering spirit, a risk desiring to be taken, and it's at 0 degrees, where there is limitless potential. There is a strong breakthrough energy, and I see that, well, because, okay, sorry, I'm like arguing with myself about what I want to talk about next. I wanted to also mention that this new moon is conjunct Neptune, so there's a lot of softness here as well. So there is an element of healing that is very strong for you, especially in the area of relationships. If you have felt like you are not as certain about yourself in relationships, or if you kind of pulled back your energy from that area of your life, I can see that again undergoing some really beautiful healing that will help you feel like you can move forward in a new slate. And I really see that with this Fool card with the King of Wands, the High Priestess, and the Fool. I really feel like you guys are going to be stepping into a lot more confidence and leadership, and maybe leadership of friends, leadership of a community, leadership over your life, directing where your life goes. Like, I'm not just going to hang out with whoever. I'm not just going to do whatever. I'm going to more intentionally design my life from the commander's seat, and I'm going to decide what it is I want. And I see this High Priestess as somebody who's like sitting there with her little ritual box, and she's manifesting under the moonlight, and she knows what she's trying to manifest, and it creates this new beginning for her. So it's stemming from this confident leadership that I feel like you're going to start attracting these connections into your life that you've been looking for. So especially if you've been looking for benefactors or people in higher places or a certain network that can benefit your life, I really see that working for you if you're intentionally trying to manifest that from a place of confidence and leadership. This moon, however, is making a square to Mars in your first house, which is really significant for you. I really feel like you're going to have to handle some things head on, and that could feel a little bit uncomfortable. I did pull the shark energy, which does have to do with kind of addressing things head on, like I mentioned. And I also pulled the purification energy. Mars is a planet of destruction. It is a planet of war, of saying no, of cutting things away. And when it's really predominant in a chart like this, at the start of the astrological new year, there are quite a few things that you're going to have to face yourself directly in the mirror and say, I won't stand for that anymore in my life. This could look like dynamics in a partnership. This could look like boundaries within your relationship with yourself, your eating habits. The way that you take care of your body is especially important, and the way that you take leadership opportunities or go out to actualize or initiate things that you really want in your life. If those areas have been, if you've been impulsive, if you have been avoidant, those places are going to really become obvious this year, and you're going to have to kind of focus on cleaning that up. And I really see that with this earthworm card as well, where in some ways you might have to work on the foundations of things. And this could quite literally mean yourself, because everything generates from the self. So this could look like going back to the foundation of something that you've been trying to create in your life, and looking at how you have to change your identity, particularly your actions and your relationship with your own masculine energy, in order to manifest what it is that you want. We have these kind of intense cards here with the Seven of Wands, Swords. And as a clarifier, I have the Six of Cups. So I think that there has been some ways in which you have betrayed yourself in the past, or lied to yourself, or deceived yourself in the past, that has actually led you to kind of feeling like you are maybe running up a lot of energy, but not moving anywhere. The Six of Cups has a lot to do with maybe our childhood and how that actually relates and feeds into why this even happened to begin with, why we ended up deceiving ourselves. So it could be really helpful to look back at your ancestry and see where there were lies and deception in your relationship with your parents or with your grandparents, and on and on and on, if you know that far back, because there is something in you that I think has been working through honesty and facing things in a factual way, because you've been having Mars move through your first house, and Gemini is all about objective clarity and actually hearing out all the different perspectives. So it's really trying to get rid of the energy of self-deception or talking yourself out of something. And I think that many of you guys could be falling into that without even knowing it. And that's the hardest part of all. And if you've been feeling like you lack clarity, there are some days where you will lack clarity because of the astrology. But if you've been feeling like that overall, you might actually be dealing more so with self-deception, or like weakening of your own reality by these certain thoughts that you allow in. And maybe you accept thoughts or even beliefs or things that other people are saying to you, and you're starting to take that in, and it makes you question your whole reality. And then another person says this, another person says that. And it's the dark side of Mars and Gemini, where you take too much information in, that you're indecisive and that you don't know what you want, or you're constantly changing your mind and you're confused. So the Mars moving through Gemini, which has been happening for months and months now, is trying to teach you the art of taking in information, being objective, and connecting it more so with your soul. So how does this information resonate or land for me? Because you might have things coming in from the outside that are bombarding you, that lead to that self-deception again. And again, I think that this is linked to childhood. So there might be ways in which you are trying to fortify your confidence and your conviction over the next year, and especially over this new moon, in order to fully believe, I want this, I deserve this, and I don't really need people's outside approval. It's important for me to collect information from other people that I need, but I'm not taking all of their opinions into account, because they're going to have you on a wild goose chase. Only you know what is true for you. And then from there, you have this sense of clarity with the Sun card. You know your way forward. You know your purpose and your direction, because you are strong within yourself. You can take in information and consider it, but you're strong enough within yourself that it doesn't persuade you one direction or another direction if it doesn't really hit your heart center. And that's what I think this purification card has a lot to do with. It's in many ways giving up the sense of needing to control or to predict the outcome, to worry about everything, which is very much Mars in Gemini, to have so much anxiety about what could happen, which is the reason why Gemini energy can often, besides their natural curiosity, but one of the reasons why they might want to get in more information is to know about everything so that they can kind of have an idea of what will happen. But that starts to backfire when it derails you and makes you feel like you have to be in control of that outcome when it's really out of your control. So there's a lot there. There's a lot of messages there. So that square with Mars in the first, I think, is giving you a lot more confidence by helping you purge all these outside perspectives or misaligned truths or self-deceptive thoughts that are not your reality, that are not your truth. We also have a beautiful sextile to Pluto in the 8th house, which Pluto is at 29 degrees. So it is going through some things. And especially being in the 8th house, there is this purification card, or purging, makes a lot of sense because it is trying to initiate this kind of death and rebirth process. And wherever we have allowed our shadow side to maybe take more control, our fearful side, our controlling side, if we've allowed that to kind of have the hands on the wheel, I really see that dying down a little bit and it becoming more of a process of being liberated from those parts of ourselves. So I see that with this breakthrough card. We can see here this person has a sword and a crow. There's something around your mindset and your intuition that is shifting, that is allowing you to feel into the more positive parts of your intuition and the more grounded parts of the intuition that are not so like up in the head and so anxious. It's breaking you free from a lot of the fears that I think that you've maybe been stuck in a cycle with, and it's leaving you feeling really empowered, which is going to free up a lot of your energy to create more discipline and more consistency in your life. If you've been noticing kind of erratic energy where one day you're like really going hard and another day you're not, this 8 of Pentacles and the Emperor and the sextile Pluto is suggesting that you're going to start manifesting more consistent energy because of your self-confidence. So the more that you are not acting from a place of fear, but from inspiration and desire and purpose, it's a lot easier to maintain that consistency and not be constantly derailed by other thoughts, other emotions, things that are outside of you that are, again, not actually your truth. And so the 8 of Pentacles and the Emperor card is telling you to have important boundaries and structures in your life in order to sustain this growth that you are meant to keep working towards. So diligently, consistently working towards a specific goal. And one of those specific goals is actually becoming really in love with yourself. I mean, I definitely think this is partially career goals, especially because Mars is trining your Saturn in the 10th house. So part of this is you manifesting certain things within your career and doing so consistently, confidently, But then the Lover's card is saying, but also working on yourself and your relationship and love towards yourself. So this could be bringing in some gentler energy. This is also the Gemini card as well. So there's something about reflecting back what's truthful to yourself and almost giving yourself affirmations, encouragement, seeing the truth again is going to be super, super important here. Cutting through the lies that you've told yourself or that others have told you and focusing more on what is going right within yourself, within your life, and within what you desire. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Gemini. If that resonates, please let me know by liking, commenting down below. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, and have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Cancer, Rising and Sun. So the Aries new moon that's happening right now is starting off the astrological new year. If you haven't already seen my overview, definitely check that out because this is a very significant one, as you can imagine, is starting the year for us in astrology. And it's going to be a big deal for you guys, especially in your career sector. And I'm definitely getting some relationship stuff going on or some sexuality stuff going on as well. And I don't know why, but it came through in the cards. So we're going to talk about it all. So this Aries new moon is conjunct Mercury and Neptune in your 10th house. So definitely, again, a new beginning in your career sector. I really feel like you guys are going to start taking a chance. This is an Aries new moon, the perfect time to take a chance. You're going to take a chance on yourself to become a leader or start something new that will actually lead to financial independence and prosperity for you. We have the Three of Wands, the King of Wands, and the Queen of Pentacles. So you guys, whatever inspires you, whatever kind of risk or new horizon that you're reaching towards, this is a really good and prosperous time to do so. Yes, you will have to make some adjustments. Yes, some things will come up. It's not going to be smooth sailing the whole way through, but going into those uncharted waters will pay off for you with these Queen of Pentacles in more ways than one. I do definitely see it working out financially, but I also see it really supporting you emotionally. I think it's going to be inspiring. It's going to feel creative. It's going to feel like it gives you this sense of confidence that you maybe have been lacking for a little bit of time. And with that Neptune conjunction, pursuing something that does feel creative, spiritual, intuitive, or just feels like very heart-driven is the goal here. So not just going into some kind of practical field that you know is going to make you money. I mean, not to say that you can't do that, but that's not really what I'm seeing right here. I'm seeing you guys taking a chance on your heart, on your desires, and it leading somewhere positive. So really keep that in mind. This is, oh, now I see why the relationships are a big deal. This is making a sextile to Pluto in the 7th house of relationships, and it's almost an exact sextile. So Pluto is currently at 29 degrees, and that is a critical degree of astrology where we start to see a crisis or a breakdown or a transformation happen, especially Pluto, which has been in this sign since about 2008. So we have had a long journey in your relationship sector where it's finally moving out into your 8th house for another venture. And you guys are kind of getting that last little bit of, again, like breakdown where things are going to start coming into focus. Things are going to shift and change for you to realize things within your relationships that you're ready to just put an end to that cycle. And this is the last year. So you're going to kind of experiencing it on and off for the rest of 2023, this push around relationships. So I definitely think that's an important part of this reading. First of all, I pulled the commune card, which has to do with community, feeling like we belong. So you might have felt there have been certain times of this year where maybe this has been something missing for you. Maybe you have had to go without or to feel unheard or unseen in some relationships. And I really feel like you guys are moving past that with this sextile to Pluto in the 7th, and you're really feeling more empowered in your relationships, and you're understanding how to take things back into your own hands so that you can have the right relationships that match who you are. And I see that with the Two of Cups and the Magician. This is you manifesting the kind of partnerships, the kind of business partners, the kind of friends, the kind of community that makes you feel like they are a soulmate match to you. And that could be any kind of soul. It doesn't have to be just a romantic soul. But I think in many ways there are still a lot of things unfolding and a lot of unknowns with the Seven of Cups. But it's really time to use your imagination and to play and imagine what it would feel like to have this relationship, to have this community, to have this business partner, whatever it is that you're looking for. Like really sit down and utilize your creative energy to put that down on a piece of paper. And then the goal is to take a first step towards that. So take one step in the direction towards empowering yourself in relationships. This could be setting certain boundaries. This could be reaching out to somebody that has always interested you. This could look like telling yourself that you're going to operate differently in relationships and kind of make a plan of action for what that would actually be. So if there's something that you can do to cultivate more, again, of that power in relationships where you feel like you're not just at the whim of what's happening to you, that is the good next direction to go in. And I think that can even support your long-term career goals. So in terms of making changes, this new moon is also making a square to Mars in the 12th. So there is some aspect of this new moon where you may be confronted with elements of your past or self-sabotaging behavior. And this could make you feel like you are particularly weak or not energized or not confident, which is funny because it's an Aries new moon. It's all about taking courage and bravery towards our goals, action, everything that we want. It's a lot about that kind of fiery confidence. But then with the square to Mars in the 12th, it might not feel like that. You might get in your head sometimes. You might have a conversation with somebody that kind of throws you for a loop, or you might feel destabilized if you have a past memory come up or this weird interaction with somebody. So there's something going on here where I really feel like you guys are confronting the past head on and needing to make a change to not fall into self-sabotaging, self-defeating kind of thoughts or behavior where you might just get stuck in a cycle of inaction. So Mars in the 12th tends to be a little bit more tired, lethargic, not taking those chances. And this is your time to make a plan of action, have the kind of sight of where you want to go with this Eagle card, like have your eyes on the prize, and then understand that there is going to be periods of time where things might feel dry. Things might feel like they are not fully there yet. And that's okay. You might get moments of walking through the desert. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Doesn't mean it's not meant to happen. And we also have the Swan, which is about doing sometimes an emotional deep dive into our past, into our subconscious, into our shadows, into our fears, into the self-sabotaging behavior. Why am I sitting in front of the TV and eating at 2 a.m. when I know I told myself I wanted to get up, start meditating, start working out early in the morning? Why would I do that to myself? This card is going to help you figure that out. So you're really meant to handle those things with compassion, because they're going to come up. It's life. They're going to come up, and that's okay. But ultimately, I really feel that you're going to be freed from some of those thoughts, from some of those actions, and step into more solid beliefs about yourself, things that feel a lot more supportive. And then from there, the world is your oyster. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Cancer. If this resonates, please let me know by liking, commenting down below. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, and have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Leo Rising. So this is Leo Sun and Rising. Before we get into this new moon forecast, you have to listen to the overview. It's super important. This is the start of the astrological new year, and that overview will kind of help you understand how the rest of this year will unfold and what we're being called to do for this year. So definitely stay tuned for that. If you haven't already listened to it, go back and watch it after this. But for you guys, this new moon is happening in your 9th house. It's conjunct Mercury and Neptune. And it's a time in which I really feel like you guys are going to start seeing beyond your current horizons. And I think you're going to feel that you are much more wise and expansive and knowledgeable and maybe even more trained than you thought you were. This could also be a beneficial time to continue that training, to continue to learn and develop, if that means getting a new license, if that means going back to school, learning under a certain teacher. But I think actually many of you guys are in some type of graduation phase. That's just what's coming through intuitively, where you are kind of going beyond where you were before. So maybe before you were a student and you were really learning and absorbing a lot. I am sensing that something is clicking where you are realizing, actually, I have a lot of information and wisdom and experience that I can teach people. I actually have a lot from my own self that I can start sharing with the world. I don't have to keep learning, or not necessarily about that, but I don't have to stay in the forever student energy. You know what I mean? I can now transition into also being a student, but being a teacher, being a leader, being a mentor, starting my own thing, starting my own business, my own idea, my own creative venture, whatever it is for you. And I really see that with this leadership card coming up. It has 2 lions on it, or 1 lion on it. And you guys, is it 1 lion? Yeah. And you guys are a Leo, so you are the lion. So there's something here where you're called more into your Leo energy to represent something in the community, to represent something amongst maybe even if it's just your friends or it could be in your neighborhood or in the other businesses amongst your community. There's something where I feel like you guys are meant to be shining a lot brighter and to be giving information away or to be sharing something about your gifts or your wisdom or your beliefs or your knowledge. There's something about that I think you're now into the phase where you're meant to begin a journey of disseminating the fruits of all those labors, essentially sharing that with others through teaching or something of that nature. It doesn't have to be teaching, but it's something where you're sharing your past learning. You're stepping up as a leader and not just being the one who's constantly absorbing things. I see that also with the Queen of Wands, who's using her self-confidence and intuition to stand out and speak her mind, to creatively pursue what she desires. And she knows that she has enough talent and skill and just natural ability paired with intuition to be worthy of being listened to. And I really feel that you guys are going to overcome massive amounts of insecurity if there are underlying insecurities. I see that especially with the Five of Cups, where some of you guys may be kind of holding on to beliefs of the past, beliefs that have maybe made you feel like you aren't worthy or you aren't strong enough, you aren't good enough, that have made you maybe fearful of actually standing out from the crowd, especially because this is making a square to Mars in your 11th house, which can kind of put a target on our back when we are really visible, when we are really shining bright. And there are going to be people who love that, and there are going to be people who hate that. And with the square to Mars in the 11th, it can indicate almost like this adversary type of energy. And so there may have to be an emotional overcoming of that, where you're like, okay, that doesn't bother me anymore. I maybe would have focused on that more in the past with the Five of Cups. And right now, I'm not worried so much about everybody liking me. I'm not worried so much about being the best of the best. I just have to be my own self, have my own unique gifts, my own style of doing things, and that's going to be enough for me. And so I think it's really about shifting that focus away from losing relationships, losing people liking you a lot. Is there? Okay, no, it's a box. Losing that. It's losing the agreeableness. It's like, okay, let's let our light shine. And sometimes being agreeable is the exact opposite of what's going to allow that to happen. We have the Chariot after, which shows that you're taking actions towards your desires, and things will actually pick up really fast once you decide this is what I want. And nothing will kind of stand in your way. I do see you having to maybe make some tough choices. Maybe you'll come up against people with opposing beliefs as you. Maybe you'll have to make certain decisions, or you won't really know which direction you want to go in at certain times. But eventually I feel like you guys are going to move past that, past the kind of conflict of differing opinions, or war within yourself if it's more internal. And you'll step more into this energy of kind of the boss with this Emperor and the King of Swords. This is really somebody who has very clear truths about themselves, very clear boundaries, who's speaking and communicating honestly, who is setting the structure, who is setting the tone, setting the expectations, and not allowing just anything to flow in and out of their life, but having some standards essentially for what they will and won't tolerate, for what they will and won't invest their time and energy, for what they will and won't do. And because of that, it allows them to achieve this really powerful status of the magician, where you can start manifesting whatever you want, because now you have clear focus, clear channel, clear energy. You say no to what you do not want. You cut those things away. You don't care if that means you alienate some people. You don't care if that means you separate from the group in some capacity, because you're doing this for you. And as a Leo rising, you were always meant to embody your innate gifts in your most unique way. And if people are getting in the way of that through their judgment, their opinion, their concerns, you're really going to have to sidestep that and overcome that in order to become more authentically you. And this new moon is making a sextile to Pluto in the 6th. So there may be some elements where you're becoming more empowered in your work, your health, and your routine. You may be making more decisions that help you have more control over this area of your life, because Pluto has been moving at that critical degree, 29 degrees of Capricorn, giving us a little bit of crisis in this area. So if you've been feeling like your work, health, or structure and routine and responsibility has been chaotic or up and down, or having more drama in it, or if there's been chaos in some form or another, this is your time for that to become less of an issue, because you're now again taking your power back in some type of way. You're finding out where you have control over things and can set boundaries, and you're doing so. You're allowing yourself to be the leader over that area of your life and not a victim to your circumstances. And I'll let you think of many examples for that. With the death card, I feel like you are kind of having some death of a way of being. And this is especially true because Mars in the 11th is trining Saturn and Pisces in the 8th house. 8th house is a house of death. So there's something about your decisions within your community, within your friends, not being agreeable, that feels really permanent, where you're not like, oh, maybe I'll sometimes be there and sometimes, well, it's like, no, this decision is made. I'm not going to be driven by fear. I'm not going to be driven by, my wounding. I'm going to allow myself to kill that old part of myself off and truly step into a state of wholeness. Because when you are trying to appease and please everyone, you are actually in a really divided state. You are breaking into parts where you have one part where you honor yourself, one part where you disown yourself, one part where you do this for this person, another part where you do that for that person, and you are broken into little pieces and focus on a specific piece depending on who you're with or what you're doing and what's required of you. And it's really unrealistic to maintain something like that. It's really burdensome for the soul. And so I really feel like you guys are stepping into a place of releasing that fear of judgment and rejection, and deciding to maybe reject yourself in some ways, or can't end some things or cancel some things out. What I don't mean reject yourself, I mean reject the things that have been rejecting you, so that you can embody a state of wholeness and actually living more so in a state of alignment as well with the stingray. You are willing to use your stinger if it's something that's going to take you out of alignment, if it's something that doesn't feel right in your heart for you. But what's underneath this is actually quite a bit of softness and wisdom. This is not coming from a place of fierceness. It might come out fierce, but it's actually underneath, there's a lot of love. There's a lot of gentleness. There's a lot of emotional intelligence that's behind this. It's not reactive. It's not aggressive. It's a protection, and it's knowing when to say no from a place of love within yourself. So it's a lot of self-respect that I feel like is coming out of this transit, and it's giving you more independence than ever before and helping you grow beyond the confines of what you've grown before, because you're more whole, you respect yourself more, you're taking more chances, you're taking more of your power back. And with all of those things combined, it's allowing you to have more success in your career and in your life than before. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Leo. I hope that resonates. If it does, please let me know by liking and commenting down below. And don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, and have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Virgo Rising and Sun. So we're talking about the Aries new moon, but before we jump into that, you definitely want to listen to the overview, because this is the start of the astrological new year, which is obviously a really big deal. So I had a kind of thorough overview of what you can expect and how this lays the foundation for the next year. So definitely make sure you listen to that. And this new moon for you guys is happening in your 8th house. It is conjunct Mercury and Neptune. And I think in many ways, it's going to be very healing for you guys. I think if you have been struggling with anxiety, a lot of that is becoming a lot clearer. And I see that with the word, with the card clarity, and with this rabbit card. There's something about the rabbit that has this kind of anxious energy that might feel like they're bouncing around from one thing to another thing, or that might feel like it's worried about the future, that might feel like It's combating its own personal fears and insecurities. And I really see that clearing up for you guys in a big way. With this victory card, I think whatever it is that's been worrying you, whatever it is that's been on your heart, you will be victorious. But it might just take a little bit of more time than you expect with this patience card. And if this is career oriented, or any kind of like big life goal, even like getting married, for example, or deciding to have kids, if there's something really big in your life, some big forward step that you're trying to take, you might struggle a little bit with the patience element, because this new moon is squaring Mars in your 10th house, which really represents that desire to achieve that goal or to have that career growth or that next step. And I think it's actually kind of hung up on your process of healing. So there is something, I think, with divine timing that's having you go through this iteration process in your career, where you're having to come to understand some elements of your career in a different way. And that's why Mars has been moving through your 10th house for such a long time. It was there in 2022. It's been here since 2023. And it's still there. So there's something around your career where you're having to check in with your goals, your desires, what you want, and kind of continuously do a refocusing. And I think it's because you are growing internally. You have Jupiter moving through your 8th house in Aries, and you are expanding beyond your past fears and past limitations and past patterns and shadows. And because of that, you are making decisions from a more growth-oriented perspective. But that is something that takes place step by step. Takes place? Yeah. And so the process really has to unfold naturally and intuitively. And I feel like there's something here where you guys might want to rush the process. You might want to be somewhere that you're not already, but there's still a lot of healing that's going on that needs to happen simultaneously as you make progress forward. And I really see that with the Star and the King of Cups. You are really transforming how you respond to your emotions, and you're becoming more in control of your emotions. So if you felt like sometimes your emotions have gotten the best of you, especially your triggers, and anything related to anxiety or fear or stress, I really see those things starting to subside and you becoming a little bit more in control of them, like I said. And I think that this is going to help you feel like your soul is a little bit more creative. Let me just turn this light off. So bright. Oh, thank goodness. Just a little bit. Because this new moon is conjunct Neptune. So there's a lot of like gentleness. There's a lot of compassion. There's a lot of spiritual healing. But I think it ultimately awakens us to our creative potential in a different way than maybe you have before. Because once we remove all those layers of insecurity that can come up within us, we can tap into maybe brand new ideas or inspirations or things that we've always wanted from this new lens and this new sense of passion and awareness. And I think it's going to help you achieve your goals a lot faster from that creative perspective. This new moon is also making a sextile to Pluto in the 5th, which again, I think is going to help you become more empowered to take action on those creative visions that you have, instead of it being this like super controlled type of like, I'm going to do this first and then I'm going to do this. There might be a lot more kind of weaving in and out and flowing with your intuition and trusting the process and trusting yourself. That I think is what's going to get you to where you want to go. I think you're also going to be a lot more empowered to trust the things that bring you joy and the things that give you energy and feel like fun. So if there have been things in your life that you want to achieve, going the path that feels much more exciting is going to help you get there a lot faster. And it's going to make you feel like you want to continue to invest in whatever it is. I also see the 9 of Pentacles. So if there's something financial going on for you guys, I really feel like that's going to start sorting itself out. A new moon in the 8th house can also signify having some kind of change in your debt, in your investments, in your taxes, inheritance, or shared income. So if you have a partner, maybe that your partner's income is increasing, or maybe you have someone passing away and you're getting inheritance that's been overdue, or something of that nature where things can start to come in for you. The Nine of Pentacles is feeling like we're a little bit more padded and secure. We can kind of sustain ourselves a little bit better because we're getting some support. And actually, the Nine of Pentacles, though, is usually more of a card around independence. So I do kind of feel like this is also a process of helping you become more financially independent as well, even though the eighth house is more about shared resources and not just your own. So there's something about you receiving money or receiving support that I think is actually going to ultimately lead you down the path of having more money on your own. So I don't know if you're like going to invest, or if you're working on some kind of project, or if you're interested in something that will hopefully or eventually lead you to that destination. And I really see that with Mars, this new moon making a square to Mars in the 10th. There's something around how you manage your money or even manage your emotions that allows you to make changes in your career that will give you financial independence. So I think let me pull another card. I think there's something here about not seeing things from a lack perspective. I think there's some things where you might have like scarcity mindset that is keeping you stuck in certain actions that are old within your life objectives. We have the blessing card. Yeah, there's some blessing that's going to come through for you, and I think it's going to make you feel really supported and start to feel more abundant. And it's from that state of mind and from that emotional respite that I think you'll actually be able to manifest a lot more in your career. But you're going to have to change your energy in your area of your objectives, your goals. You can't just keep the same energy of anxiety and pushing forward as you have. You're going to have to change your actions and your energy. Blessing, purification, invocation, sacred gift, spiritual cleansing, reassembling emotional body, mystical sight. Sage, like the moon card in tarot, is a great portal to the river of life. The silver light of sage grants us the power of insight while we navigate the darkest hours. It's so funny because we have this card and we have the clarity card. So there's definitely something around you guys finally seeing something with clear eyes, whether this is like what you want or what's been getting in the way of what you want, or something deeper internal. I think that you guys are going to become aware of it. The lunar powers of sage remind us to look inward to receive visionary insight from spirit. Don't get overly consumed by emotional interplay. Allow it to pass like the clouds. Draw upon the inner reserves of your psyche to navigate darkness and become keenly aware of what is causing inner disturbances, fear, and unhappiness. The initiation you are undergoing, although unfamiliar, is a great blessing. Feel yourself cease and reassemble as you break illusions to unearth hidden truths. Surrender, don't stand in your own way. Allow the silvery white light of sage to shatter illusions as you undergo a great awakening. I definitely feel that for you guys. I think there's some internal awakening happening because the 8th house is a really powerful house that is associated with our own inner truth. And I think that you're awakening to what that is for you, and it will somehow lead to a victory. With the victory in the 9 of Pentacles, that is somehow going to feed into your future stability and success. With the Patience card, I really feel like you have to take a step back and enjoy the process for what it is and not try to rush it, because it does feel like a huge spiritual evolution for you guys. So that is what I'm seeing for you guys. I hope that you enjoy this. I guess the one other thing that I'll mention is that Mars in the 10th is trining Saturn in the 7th. So there's something here around relationships where I feel like you're solidifying things, or you're moving forward more with them, or you're having some kind of plan around how to work with somebody, but you also might not be totally clear on how that's going to evolve, and to just trust the process and believe that your relationships are really here to guide you and help you at this time. So again, that's what I'm seeing for you. If that resonates, please let me know by liking and commenting down below. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, and have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Libra, Sun, and Rising. So we are about to jump into the Aries new moon happening on March 21st. But before we do, make sure you watch the overview, because this is the start of the astrological new year, and it's a really big deal. So you'll definitely want to listen to how this sets us up for the entire year to come. So for you, this Aries new moon is happening in your seventh house. It's conjunct Mercury and Neptune. And it's funny because one of the cards that I pulled was sovereignty. And the seventh house is a lot about interdependence and other people in our lives. The sovereignty card, I feel like, is telling you it's almost like maintaining some sense of aloneness or like agency, sovereignty, freedom within a relationship. So there's something here where I feel like that's being represented, especially because inherently you guys have Aries on the descendant. So there's something about your relationships that are meant to be also producing a lot of independence. It's kind of like you're counterbalancing the Libra in you that is so relationship and people oriented by having a partner that's either really independent or needing to cultivate that element of sovereignty within your relationship. So there's something here around that I think is really significant, and it's a new beginning. So maybe this means spending a little bit more time away from your partner, more time away from certain friends, doing things on your own. And that doesn't have to mean that necessarily. Like, you could still be spending a significant time with people, but maybe there's something that you are also meant to be doing with people, but also on your own. So because it's a new moon in the seventh house, it is about relationships. So on one hand, it could be that you are meant to approach relationships differently and be more sovereign. On the other hand, it could mean that you are meant to just be more alone. So it's like you're either with people doing things a little bit more separately or independently or relying more on yourself, or you are doing things more alone and it's affecting your relationships. So that's kind of how I'm perceiving it, especially because it's making a square to Mars. So this is already kind of like a little bit of a aggressive energy that likes to tear us away from things. And I think it's because you are meant to study something or learn more about something, or apply your knowledge towards something, because Mars is in the ninth house. And I also pulled these two cards, the Knight of Pentacles and the Hierophant. And these two cards specifically have books and somebody writing on them. So I think that's super interesting. Maybe some of you guys are meant to be speakers or authors or course creators, teachers. Maybe there's something in your wisdom that you're meant to share, or you're meant to go back to school to learn more. But I really feel like you're meant to kind of take a step back from the dynamic of everyone around you and focus a lot on your studies or your learning. And you might have to, again, make some changes in order to do this, because it's a square to Mars, which represents change and action and a little bit of discomfort. So this means kind of shaking up our routine or what we've gotten used to with other people in our lives. And I think that this is ultimately making this decision to do this, to study with somebody, or to study and not take you away from your partner, or whatever that looks like. This is ultimately actually here to serve your greater purpose. So this is not just some willy-nilly thing like, it interests me. No, this is woven into the tapestry of your life's purpose. And without this, I really think that you would regret not doing it. Like, you would really feel that in your life story. So there's something really important here that I think is important to have an open discussion with, because I don't know why I'm getting, for some reason, I feel like somebody is not in agreement. So I could see you with the Queen of Cups kind of sharing your heart about this. Like, okay, to my partner, to my family, to my friends, I'm going to really be taking a step back because I need to work on this thing in my life. We need to change the dynamics of our relationship. Maybe I need you to support me more so I can go back to school, or maybe I need you to do X, Y, Z. So it's affecting our dynamic. And with the Five of Wands after that, it's like, that doesn't feel like it's received well. It kind of feels like you have to fight to get your voice heard, or it causes a disruption and confusion kind of about how things will move forward. I know this is a really specific message, but there's something where I feel like you're meant to travel, you're meant to learn, you're meant to expand your consciousness in some way, and it's going to affect your relationships. And communicating that or sharing that may cause initially some conflict and confusion with the Seven of Cups, especially because this new moon is conjunct Neptune and Mercury. It's like communicating might not land exactly where we want it to land, but there's something about this where I feel like you're coming at it from a place of purity and innocence. It's not from a place of selfishness, which Aries energy, you know, you're doing it for yourself. It's a new moon in Aries, but it's not selfish. It's actually a really pure place. Like, this is going to help me benefit the world. This is going to help me in the rest of our lives. And I think that the other people who are affected by this will ultimately see that. They'll ultimately see the purity of what this means to you and what this is going to do for the world. This might not necessarily be this only one exact way of explaining it. This could involve working with somebody else and not necessarily having the same expectation or belief about how things should go. There are kind of different ways to see this, but overall what I'm seeing is you have a certain belief, you have a certain desire to spread information or to learn more, to grow more, and it is somehow going to affect the dynamic, whether they're a part of that or not. And to really hold the purity within your heart around what it is that you want, like the why, the intention, the mission, something that is, again, so pure, so light that nobody can really disagree with it. And I feel like you're going to find that things work out in your favor because of that. You also have this new moon making a sextile to Pluto in the 4th. So there's something here where it could drag up some emotions, but it's ultimately so you feel more empowered within yourself and more empowered within the home. So if you have been if there have been any ways in which there hasn't been like the utmost expression of who you want to be, this is a time for that to happen. And I think you'll really start to see that when you pursue these purposes, when you pursue these things that are really important to you, that you actually feel a lot more in your essence. And I think you'll also feel a lot more playful and creative and lighthearted, which could be sometimes harder to come by when you're not actually accessing that power within yourself. Ultimately, I think with the Mars also being in the 9th house, trining Saturn in the 6th, I think there's something about really changing your everyday routine. So if this looks like working more hours at night or traveling a little bit to get to your destination or having some other responsibility added to your plate that affects people, it's important that you create some type of schedule for yourself and recognize that this can alter and change with time because Mars is also squaring Neptune. So it might not be set in stone, but it's good to have some kind of plan that can create that structure for you and that discipline, like the Knight of Pentacles, so you can really show up consistently every day to work towards whatever this is. Ultimately, I feel like your relationships are enhancing because Jupiter did conjunct Chiron in the 7th house, which is bringing about more healing in your dynamics. So regardless of whether this brings up tension initially, I feel like your relationships are actually improving on a really core and fundamental level over time. I kind of want to pull some advice card or just like one other card for you. Okay. A bunch came out. We have the Hope card, the Abundance card, Purification, and Attraction. So I'll let you kind of decide what you feel like that it means. But I will make a note that the Purification does remind me of that Lamb energy that I was talking about earlier. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Libra. If that resonates, let me know by liking and commenting down below. I hope that you guys have a beautiful day. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends. Bye. All right, up next we have Scorpio Rising and Sun. This is the Aries new moon video. But before we get into that, make sure you watch the overview where I talk about how this is starting off our astrological new year, even though technically we have started 2023 in astrology. We are just now starting 2023 on March 21st. So if you don't know how that is going to impact your year, definitely check that out. So this new moon in Aries is happening in your 6th house, conjunct Mercury and Neptune. So many of you guys may kind of feel like you're trying to figure out your work life balance, balancing that with your health, your routine, your structure, for example, and maybe coming up with a better plan for how you can actually go about and tackle things. maybe some of you guys could benefit from hiring help or getting some outside perspective or assistance, delegating. I especially see that with this Knight of Wands energy. This is somebody who I think is really passionate and really excited and wants to move forward, and they want to lead, and they might get a little ahead of themselves. They might kind of take too much on, or they might feel a little bit rushed, or they might be a little bit impulsive. It's funny because when I was pulling your cards, I was like, oh, I just want the cards to be out already. And I hadn't felt that way with any of the other piles. And I was really like, okay, I think that this is coming from Scorpio. I feel like there's an energy of impatience. And it could have felt like this Four of Pentacles, it could have felt like there is this kind of stagnancy, like things aren't moving forward in a really big way in your finances, or it could be other areas of your life, but it could be just work in general might be slowing down, but you're really passionate. Or it could be that you have lots of ideas and inspiration, and you only have so much money or so much time to implement them. And I think it's really about creating a solid plan for your future and making sure that you have unique ideas that actually express your innate gifts. And that's very much Aries energy. Like, how can I do something that's really myself? And make a plan, have an idea, make an offering, or whatever it is within your career, a structure, an organization that actually reflects who I am, where I want to be in a year from now, and helps kind of get any fiery, impulsive energy under control. So it's giving that an outlet and hopefully tempering it a little bit, because I do feel like there's contradicting energy with the Nine of Wands next to the Four of Pentacles. It's like, I want to go, go, go. But then the Four of Pentacles is, but I have to save, or I have this thing coming up, or I only have so much time. It's like there's all this energy, but a really small window, a really small tunnel that it all has to funnel through. And I feel like you guys are going to break out of this once you actually make a more solid plan or structure around your day. And again, I think it needs to be reflective of your nuances. Like the zebra is black and white. And I think that there's something in your energy that you have to manifest, or you have to put attention towards, like the black and white nature of your energy. So this could look like spending a lot of time on the structure, but also making sure there's time for white space. So that could look different, but maybe some of you guys are juggling like 2 projects, or oh my gosh, like 2 relationships, not in terms of like partnerships, but you know, multiple clients or something of that nature, where you have kind of multiple things that you need to think about. And I'm seeing here that you guys need to have some kind of creative and personalized plan. And that is going to help you, because I'm just sensing a lot of energy funneling through a small space. So that either means you have a lot of opportunities and you have to choose only some of them, or because you have a limited time, or you have a lot of ideas, or you have a lot of energy but not a lot of money or not a lot of success. There's something around this where it's like a lot to a little. I think you guys get that. So this new moon is also conjunct Neptune. So there's something about this where you're trying to figure it out, but it's also kind of like you need to go with the flow a little bit, and you can't ever have everything super defined. So while you do need to have a plan and have clarity of mind, with the zebra card, I think it's also about really kind of creating space for that flow, like I mentioned, and that softness and intuition, creating space for things to go wrong, for things to go unexpectedly. That's super important. Every day at 5 o'clock, my dog comes to me. She's like, it's dinner time. This new moon is also squaring Mars in the 8th house. So there could be something around finances or debt that is making you feel a little bit more pinched. That's not for all of you, but there's something in regards to that could be impacting you. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, but I'm seeing here with the 6 of Swords and the Justice card, and then the 8 of Wands, I feel like you guys are actually learning how to balance things out. So you're making a transition right now where you're becoming more balanced. I think that's why the zebra had like the black and the white, the 2 things that it's balancing. And I think you'll actually notice that once you balance things out a little bit more in your life, whatever that means for you, because the balance could look different for everyone and what needs to be balanced, I actually think things are going to move a lot faster and a lot smoother. And I think you've just been you've been, again, funneling so much into a little space. I think it needs to be spread out or somehow altered in its structure so that it is balanced and it's not like this really intense water coming at you. Like, think of a fire hose, for example. But what if that were like that same pressure was dispersed over a wide area? It would feel like a shower or something really gentle. So that's kind of how I perceive this. There's something about your work or the way that you need to take care of your health or your responsibilities or your energy flow that needs to be like dispersed and balanced in a way that will suit you. I also have this strength card. So this also, I think, is just telling you to keep trying until you get it right. Have the strength within you to not give up, basically, when things seem a little bit tough. Because I do think it's a little bit of an experimental kind of trial and error to find what's right for you. And that doesn't mean that the first thing is going to work. And usually to find what's right for you, you have to explore yourself and try things on. This is also making a sextile to Pluto in the third. So I think this is going to help you manage a lot around your everyday tasks. And I think it's going to help you manage anxiety if you have anxiety or anything in regards to mental chatter and things of that nature. You're going to become more empowered over your schedule and your mind and your to-do list. The square to Mars in the 8th, I kind of want to pull a card for that in particular. What is a square to Mars in the 8th? I almost feel like it's been... with the square to Mars in the 8th, like, has insecurity or fear stopped you from having this balance in your life from before? We have sacred rage and death. Okay. So I feel like you guys have maybe had trouble setting certain boundaries with people or with yourself. And some of this could be because of, like I was mentioning, insecurity or fear. Like, if I say no, if I set a certain boundary with somebody, like, it's going to have a bad reaction. Or if I am less available, I'm going to have less clients. And I think it's ultimately actually creating more rage within you, whether you're aware of it or not, which sometimes suppressed rage can come out as self-sabotage and very self-destructive. So if you notice that your habits have been self-destructive, or your routine has been making you feel like really antsy, then there may be something around this where you actually are having rage and frustration at the lack of boundaries with yourself or others. So just kind of take this into account, that you might actually need to express some of this energy and, again, be firmer in what you desire and what you will not accept. And I think there may need to be some kind of death, an ending of something, or a transformation of something in your life in order for this to be possible. So maybe you have to cut out certain responsibilities, although I'm not really seeing that in the tarot cards per se. I almost feel like this is more of an internal transformation that's happening rather than an external one. And I think this is going to really help your creative flow and help you feel like life is more fun and you're more engaged in what you have to create or to do, because you really can't come at life through this energy of feeling just overwhelmed or fire hose. I feel like you guys, with this death card, something has to give in order for you to tap back into what inspires you and will keep you going. And I think that's super important with the Neptune conjunction there as well, is how am I creatively inspired by my schedule and what I have to do in my day? And if there isn't inspiration there, there needs to be some kind of adjustment, some kind of change where you stop old habits and old things that maybe are a waste of time, or giving your energy to people that don't deserve it, or not setting certain boundaries, something around that, and taking that back for yourself. There probably also needs to be a death of the insecurity that may prevent you from standing your ground. So it really feels like you guys are becoming more solid in yourself, more strong, and really more empowered over your schedule. And this will help funnel your passions into a more like level, balanced life, so that it doesn't feel like you're just water hose all the time. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Scorpio. I hope that resonates. If it does, please let me know by liking and commenting down below. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, and I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Sagittarius Rising and Sun. So before you guys listen to this, make sure that you go ahead and watch the overview if you haven't already. This is the start of the astrological new year, which is a really big deal. And so I really would love for you guys to kind of get an idea of how this is going to set the tone for the rest of the year. All right, so let's talk about this Aries new moon, which is happening at 0 degrees of Aries. It's conjunct Mercury, it's conjunct Neptune, and it's located in your 5th house. And I really feel like this is a time where you guys are going to be overcoming something. That was really the feeling I was getting from the cards. And the 5th house, especially to have a new moon or a new beginning, is a really positive house. It tends to have more growth happening in it. So we tend to have more positive results, things that we typically enjoy. The 5th house is the house of our joy. It's the house of children as well. So if this is related to anything in regards to children or family, which it definitely could be with this 10 of Pentacles, then I really see this area of your life becoming a lot more solid, becoming a lot more, I think, stable, if that has felt unstable for you in the past. This new moon in particular is going to give us the opportunity to look at something through a new lens with that conjunction with Neptune and Mercury. It's going to help us, I believe, connect more to our kind of spiritual, creative, sensitive, soul-aligned desires. So if there has been something really feeling like lackluster in your life, I can start to see that turning around. What's interesting, though, is that I don't really see it bringing a ton of fire and vibrance in the normal sense. I see it actually giving more structure and definition to your life. So this might be because you are setting certain boundaries or are altering certain aspects of relationships. And this is because this new moon is making a square to Mars in your 7th house. And Mars is in Gemini. It's been there for a while. So there's been a lot going on in regards to navigating relationships, conflict, communicating boundaries, communicating needs and desires and wants versus things that annoy you. And this doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It can be really any specific relationship that is close to you. But I really feel like you guys have been journeying through this larger topic of, what do I want? What do I need? What boundaries do I set? How do I go about establishing my own independence in the relationship, but also keeping us together and all of those things? So I think that there's something there where you guys are maybe making a change to how you talk to your partner, how you talk to your friends, your family, how you set boundaries with people, what you say yes and no to, what you give your energy towards and what you don't. And this could even be colleagues, any significant relationship in your life. But I'm really seeing that you're almost like making a schedule or making a more disciplined kind of solid approach to the way that you go about your relationships or about taking care of others or being with others, in order to make sure that you have time for the things that bring you joy in life, for the things that make you feel creative or that are pleasureful, or make time for your children if you have children, or your creative projects or your business. It's almost like those areas of your life were kind of just going to continue to struggle until certain boundaries were set and certain lines not crossed. So I see that really strongly with some of the cards coming through. We have the Wheel of Fortune, which is about fate changing in your favor, which is a really good card. So things starting to improve and be on the up and up in general. But I really feel like it's because of this boundary with the Emperor and the King of Swords. It's because you have a routine, you have a structure, you have a time to do stuff. You say no to certain things, or you ask for support. So you're really not like overextending yourself the same way you were before. I'm seeing that things are more defined and structured. And as a result, it's giving you more time to work on and enjoy the things that you really love, to spend time with the people that you love, more time to cultivate the finances that you deserve. So it's going to look different for everybody. But in general, it's almost like you need that container, because I think things have been maybe too fluid or too feminine that they haven't really had the opportunity to make you feel safe. And it could have felt really scary or overwhelming even to try to get everything done without a solid container to rely on. So definitely your relationships are going to be a big part of this somehow. They need to adjust somehow. Your dynamic with others, your boundaries with others need to adjust in order to make this happen. This is also making a sextile to Pluto in your second house. So I definitely feel like you guys are improving in your sense of stability, feeling really sure of yourself, feeling a lot more confident, maybe also feeling more empowered in your financial sector. So maybe some of you, this is practical, having a budget, or having a way to kind of budget resources in general, time included. And for some reason, having some control over your life like that is giving you a lot more confidence. It's giving you a lot more reassurance that I can do this. Okay, I'm doing well. I'm not just here floundering about in life, feeling really uncontained. I'm actually taking steps forward. I'm planning my future. I'm feeling really stable and secure within myself to take care of things myself. I think that's really important for you guys. I also see with this completion card, I feel like you're ending some cycle, and I think it's definitely part of the cycle is Mars being in the 7th house, where you maybe have had just like had to figure out relationships a little bit more, have maybe had more conflict, or have felt really stressed or busy when in concerning others, maybe more anxiety, maybe there's just a lot more passion and focus on relationships. And now it's time for you to focus more on what brings you joy and what your gifts are and what you particularly want to be doing at a certain time. So I feel like there's some kind of completion in the cycle where maybe you guys were, again, feeling like the relationships were not fully balanced and contained, and now you're making those adjustments to do that now. And we have the ancient memory card. When I pulled this, I wasn't sure kind of what it meant, but let's go ahead and read it because instead of trying to guess, it says remembrance, ancient memory, multi-dimensional sight, recollection, commitment, loyalty to a vision. This is interesting because I think it was Sagittarius. I don't even know if it was like a month ago or how long ago it was, but I was saying like remain committed to your vision and don't give up. And I think that the same message is coming through now to not compromise on what you truly desire, that you can have what you want, that this structure is actually going to help you get there, and to be confident that what you desire is coming to you. I also think this completion card could be relevant to work because it has Saturn on it, Capricorn energy. So maybe there's something that you've worked really hard to achieve, like buying a house or starting some type of business or working on your health or whatever it is, or trying to have a kid. There's something that I feel like you're trying to accomplish. And this completion card is saying it's in sight. It's not that far away. And I feel like the Buffalo card is also telling you not to give up, to run into the obstacles, confront the things that you feel like could go wrong, because you absolutely can have what it is that you desire. And I really feel like your life is, again, becoming a lot more stable so that you'll free up some energy to focus on what it is you're trying to create. I feel like the structure that you're placing in your life right now is going to help you so much because you're going to have so much freed up energy to dedicate to the things that you've been thinking about, the things that you've been planning for. If you have been kind of running around like a chicken with your head cut off trying to catch up on life, obviously you can't progress forward that much because you're just so busy. And I really feel like this is what is solidifying for you, especially as Saturn is moving into your 4th house. There's a lot more of like a nesting happening, trying to make your home a home, trying to make your home something really solid, someplace that you can land. And so many of you guys might be experiencing that, and you can utilize your relationships in order to help make that happen for you. Utilize support, lean on other people, because Mars in the 7th is trining Saturn that just moved into Pisces in your 4th. So that's what I'm saying for you guys. I think you're entering into a time of a lot more prosperity and enjoyment, and also more stability. And I think that you're going to find that this is a really prosperous time for you, and I can't wait. So if you enjoyed this, please let me know by liking, commenting down below. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, and have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Capricorn Rising and Sun. Before we jump into the moon though, I would love for you guys to watch the overview of the new moon, because this is the start of our astrological new year. So that's a really big deal. It's really significant. And I think it's going to set the tone for the rest of the year. So if you haven't already watched it, make sure you go ahead and do so. All right, so let's go ahead and get into Capricorn. So for you guys, this Aries new moon is happening in your 4th house. It is conjunct Mercury, it's conjunct Neptune, And I feel like it's got you guys in an interesting state of personal exploration. One of the cards that I pulled was self-discovery. And I really get that with Neptune and Mercury. Mercury is our way of exploring our mind and even our subconscious. Neptune is our way of exploring our imagination and possibilities and almost like the energetic quantum field. And I feel like you guys are kind of tapping into those energies and thinking more about your future, wondering how you should kind of go about your life in a new way. And so I think you're in many ways going through a process of self-discovery, like viewing yourself through new eyes, through new lenses, and considering again possibilities from that new perspective. I think that many of you guys are wanting to maybe take a risk and try something new with this Three of Wands and Ace of Swords, even if this is something that is not super tangible. Like this could be having a new emotional experience with a partner, or this could be taking the next step and trying to think about, I don't know, like a new degree to study, or a new relationship to start, or career path to open, or a new hobby, or again, it could be something internal. But with the Three of Wands and the Ace of Swords, I really feel like you guys are getting some kind of idea and you're acting on it. And it might actually be in the reverse, where you're kind of feeling restless and like ready to take a leap, ready to venture into something new, ready to step outside of your comfort zone, which is funny because a new moon in the fourth house is kind of our comfort zone, but I feel like you're almost resetting your comfort zone. You're moving that dial a little bit further away from you. And I almost feel like once you decide that, some idea can come to you, some kind of conversation, something that I feel like is going to be exciting for you. That's definitely the idea I'm getting, is something exciting. And we have the Two of Wands here. So I feel like this is going to kind of propel you forward in life and give you an idea of even more things to do after this. So it's kind of like once you push over one domino, there's another series of dominoes that fall as a consequence. And I really see that happening for you, where you start something new, you take a risk, you have a new idea, and you put yourself out there. And as a result, you see this like new plan or these other opportunities and have a greater vision for what's possible, or you start to do more things because of that. It doesn't even have to be action again. And I really want to say that for sure. Because it's a new moon in the fourth house, but it could very much be action. It could very much be work-oriented, health-oriented. And I say that because this moon is also making a square to Mars in the sixth house. So this square is saying, let's change something about our routine. Let's change something about how we go about our life. Maybe we change our job or do something differently. Maybe we start working out every morning before we actually sit down and start working. I don't know. There's something that you guys, I feel like, are going to start doing. You're going to dare to do something else that you haven't done before. And I think, again, it's setting a new kind of comfort zone in what you feel like is possible for you. And I think you guys have been in this process of having kind of interesting mixture of energies, where on one hand you've been working really hard with this beaver card. I feel like it's telling you to continue to work hard, like you're doing great, keep up the good work. But on the other hand, I feel like you've also been doing a lot of internal work, and I think that this new moon can really represent that. With the oyster card, I feel like you guys have been digging deep within yourself during this process, and again, going through some kind of self-discovery, like, who am I? What do I want? Especially as you encounter things when you're working hard. If you encounter kind of emotional blockages or self-doubt or uncertainty, this oyster card and the self-discovery card are telling me that you're journeying within to more deeply understand yourself as you are starting new things, or as you are continuing to work hard on something. But I think there's something new coming in for you. It's not just the continued work that you've always done. I really feel like you're starting something new, even if it's a small thing or an internal thing. And because of that, that's like equally paired with the internal work, and it's actually helping you explore yourself even more inside. We also have this horse card. So there's something about this experience that I feel like you are, again, taking a risk. You're going into a new land. And this is giving you a little bit more energy of kind of being wild, of being free, of having less like pressure on yourself. It feels like, okay, I'm going to go out and do this next thing and I'm excited about it. And it doesn't feel as constrained. So if you felt like you've been working so hard that you're constrained with this beaver card, I'm also seeing this contradicting energy of the horse. So you have this really interesting nuance of I'm working really hard and consistently, but I'm also kind of breaking free and doing my own thing. I'm also kind of going within and focusing on my emotions, which is very much a new moon in the 4th house, like exploring my inner world. And all those things are kind of happening at the same time. This new moon is also making an exact sextile to Pluto in your 1st house. So there's something here where you guys are just radically transforming as an individual. This Phoenix card came here. So I really feel like there are parts of you that are dying and being reborn, that are rising from the ashes. If you have felt like you've been less empowered in some area of your life, this is the opportunity for you to start something new that can make you feel more empowered and more in control. That could look like, again, taking better care of your health. That could look like starting a new hobby or changing your appearance. But there's some kind of evolution of yourself that I feel like, again, is going to leave you feeling much more empowered. And if there have been ways in which you have been kind of like confused or feel like you don't know how you're meant to move forward, or if you're supposed to do something or not do something, I really see that changing with Mars in the 6th house trining Saturn in the 3rd. This is solidifying your plan, getting clear with your mind. Saturn in the 3rd can make you feel really busy, but it can also help you gather a certain amount of conviction. And with these cards together, I feel like it's ending the confusion and the doubt. And with the 5 of Wands, it's helping you actually fight for what it is that you believe in, for what it is that you want against all odds. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Capricorn. I hope you enjoy this. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below, share with your friends, and have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Aquarius Rising and Sun. Before we jump into the Aries new moon, I did have to let you guys know that you should definitely watch the overview if you haven't already. This new moon is the start of the astrological new year. It is very significant and it is going to set the tone for the entire year. So make sure you guys check that out. And now let's go ahead and dive into your signs. So Aquarius, this new moon is happening in your 3rd house. It is conjunct Mercury and Neptune. And it's funny because the 3rd house is all about our thoughts, our mind. And one of the first things that I noticed for you guys is that you are having a change in your self-perception. With the Lovers in the World card, I feel like you guys are having this look in the mirror and seeing something on the other side that's different than what you've seen before. And I think that having this start to the new year happening in this sector of your life, while it always happens there because every start to the astrological new year will always be in your 3rd house, I think it's to say that every start of the year, especially this one, you're almost getting this new perception of yourself, new way of looking at yourself. And because Mercury and Neptune are there, it's a more loving and compassionate gaze that you're able to see yourself with. And so I really feel like the quality of your mind is starting to improve significantly, and old thought patterns that could have been holding you back or could have been maybe just old, those are starting to improve now. With the Dragonfly card, your mind overall is improving. And it's coming in the sense that you are thinking more positively. You're thinking more joyously. You're finding the benefits and the blessings out of things. So if you've been kind of feeling like a little bit more in the dumps lately, I see that radically improving with this Hummingbird card and the Lovers, and ending an old cycle of feeling like down on yourself or wondering about yourself and kind of having doubt about whether things were going to work out for you or whether you were good at this or not, or whatever those questions were. I see you moving into a state of nurturing yourself. And you also might find that you are enjoying more of your relationships with the Beloved and the Lovers card. There's quite a bit of love and relationship energy coming through as well. So I feel like the reflection that you have of yourself will be met through others. Other people will start seeing you more positively as a result of the way that you're seeing yourself. And this new moon is also making a square to Mars in the 5th house. I feel like this is a time of which just more enjoyment is possible for you. But it's sometimes like we can't enjoy things more if we still have really practical concerns on our mind. So let's say we can't really enjoy our creativity as much or our relaxation time as much when we feel like in the back of our head, we don't actually have enough money to pay the bills, or we're not sure if we have like the resources that we need to move forward or anything like that. So those are examples of ways in which our kind of responsibilities and things that aren't going right in our life can slowly start to eat away at us a little bit and make us actually more removed from the enjoyment of our life, especially enjoying our hobbies, our social situations, our dating life, our travels. Those things are just not going to have the same energy to them when your basic needs are not being met in some way. And I feel like that is part of what's changing here. You guys might notice that your schedule picks up a little bit, or that things start to improve, or that your mind just starts to improve in regards to these things. And it helps you actually make changes to those areas of enjoyment in your life for them to be more fruitful, for them to be more productive. And you might actually find that you can create some kind of abundance from the things that bring you a lot of joy. So with this Ace of Pentacles and Queen of Pentacles, this is like a master manifester, somebody who, again, is abundant, who is getting some type of financial success, who feels in control. And I feel like it's coming from a place of connections with the Three of Cups, like celebrations, enjoyment, and as well as our intuition and our creativity with the Queen of Cups. So we have the Three of Cups and Queen of Cups. So it's almost like you're getting this bigger manifestation. And I think it's either helping you feel like you can enjoy things more, or it's actually coming from the things that you enjoy. So let's say you feel like you can't fully enjoy certain things because you don't have enough money, like I said. Well, it's your work picking up, and then you're being able to celebrate more with your friends. Or it's somehow you creating a new hobby or making new connections with friends that actually lead to that stability. So there's something here, but I feel like your life is starting to stabilize, and it's allowing you to make changes to open up your circle a little bit more, and enjoy your hobbies a little bit more. And I actually see you doing that from like a disciplined place with this King of Swords. You're not just kind of going out here and there and just spending money. I really feel like the King of Swords is very honest with themselves. They have specific boundaries with themselves. They know how to live in alignment with themselves. So I'm really seeing this beautiful balance between these energies of practically focused and materially focused, as well as artistically or emotionally relationship focused, and this really nice balance between the two. This square with Mars in the fifth, I'm curious what else that could represent. Let me pull another card for you guys. What else does this square with Mars in the fifth represent? Maybe some of you guys are changing the things that you are creating or working on. So if you have a hobby, making changes there, or if you have children, making changes with your children, spending more or less time with them, doing certain things with them. We have the destruction card. So maybe you're stopping certain things, you're stopping certain hobbies, or stopping certain tasks. That's giving you more time to make, to create this balance in your life. So yeah, let me pull one more card. Anything else coming through around? We have the 10 of Cups, the 9 of Cups, and the Sun. Yeah, I don't know, guys. Like, there's something that's, it feels like is a wish being fulfilled, or you're finding what brings you actually a lot of joy. And I think you'll have to make some changes in order to create that joy. Like, you can't just go about your day like always, but the changes are something that you're inspired to do. The changes are something that you're excited to do. So it's like, okay, I'm not just gonna, weave a tapestry. Now I'm gonna paint. And it's like, I'm really excited to paint. I'm gonna sell my paintings or whatever. And it's something that I feel like is gonna lead you to a lot of fulfillment. This could also be about relationships as well, like having something progress or move forward in a way that feels really fulfilling for the relationship. So and that could be with the relationship dating wise, with friends, or with children in particular. This moon is also making a sextile to Pluto in the 12th. So there's something about this energy where you're releasing your past. If you've had a lot of fears, or if you've had things that have kept you feeling like you're hiding yourself and you're hiding those gifts and you're afraid to kind of shine them out into the world. I see you really stepping out in a big way. And maybe that's the change that you're making. Maybe it's not changing what you're doing, but maybe it's changing how okay you are with sharing those things and being visible. But there's something about your joys, the things that you really like, that you're altering. So it's either the thing itself or the way that you go about it by presenting it. But with the sextile to Pluto on the 12th, I feel like it's you coming out of hiding in a way and feeling more empowered about your uniqueness, like the unicorn. Some people might think that you're, unique and different in a way that's like unbelievable. Like, I can't believe this person exists. I can't believe there's somebody with this talent or with this gift. And so this is a time to really own this part about yourself. And I really think that it can bring you more confidence and maybe even more financial stability, because Mars in the 5th is also trining Saturn in the 2nd. So it's not just about the things that you create for yourself, but it's also about how it can actually pave the way for your future and positively impact others. So it has a lot more extension than just, I want to do this. It has a lot more impact than that. So I'm really seeing this benefit you guys. I'm excited to see you kind of step into more nurturing of yourself, feeling more positive, more optimistic. I'm excited to see your relationships possibly improve as well. And for you to move into a phase of shining more of who you are and your innate gifts, and maybe making some changes to your hobbies. So that is what I'm saying for you guys. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know down below how this resonates with you, if it does. And if you enjoy this, please share it with your friends, and have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Pisces, Sun, and Rising. So I'm not sure if you guys can hear, but there is a really loud chipper outside where they're throwing wood into. And I feel like this is relevant to your reading because they just revved it up. And I was like, wow, the engines are revving. Like, things are revving up. And I think that that's something that's going to be happening for you. There's going to be a lot more changes and like things picking up the pace, which could feel a little bit destabilizing. But I actually think it's ultimately going to lead to a lot of stability. And so we're going to talk about that. But before I do, I wanted to mention, if you haven't already listened to the overview, definitely check that out. This is a Aries new moon. It's the start of the astrological new year. It's very significant for this to be kind of like the starting point of the year. It's going to show how the whole year can unfold. So definitely make sure you watch the intro to understand what's to come. So for you guys, this Aries new moon is happening in your 2nd house. So in terms of creating financial stability, this is a time in which you can plant really amazing seeds for the year ahead of how you want to be really confident, really secure, really financially independent and wealthy like never before. This new moon is conjunct Mercury and Neptune. So I do feel like you guys maybe have been going through a period of really wanting to create stability for yourself, but also kind of being unsure. We have the 7 of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles. So I feel like you guys have already been working on something, or working towards something, or working on yourself, or investing into some area of your life. But then you were considering the Ace of Pentacles. You're considering maybe something new. This could be any kind of investment. It could even be investing into a relationship, something that could like somehow create more stability in your life, more confidence, and maybe more financial prosperity. So you guys were already investing in something, doing well, working hard at it. And then something else comes along and you're like, well, should I do that? Should I go for that? And you're having the 2 swords moment of like, I don't know, yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. And I think that's the thing. You're considering like a lot of options here, which might have felt really draining for you. And I think that's kind of like the state in which you might find yourself when you're coming at this reading. And then we have the 6 of Swords, which is a card of transition. So you decide to act on something. You're deciding to make a change. You're deciding to move from one place to another, to transition. But what you're actually doing is transitioning to a state of more balance and also financial independence. So take with that what you will. This will look different for everybody, but this balance card is pointing out to you some area of your life where you may have felt like you were either, I have kind of contradicting messages. Like with the balance card, you might have felt like you were doing everything on your own. Like you didn't have the support system, like you needed somebody else, but you didn't have it. And I feel like you're moving into the direction of creating more balance where you have more support. This balance card could also indicate being super in your masculine or super in your feminine. This could indicate having one area of your life be kind of under performing and another overperforming. So there's something where you need to bring in balance, and that's somehow going to lead you to actually being more independent and financially prosperous. So actually getting more support, or working on this other area of your life that hasn't been functioning as properly, is going to bring you into a state of more confidence, more inner security, and more financial wellness. And I feel like that's going to be a really big deal for you guys. And some of the confusion can start to subside as you decide to do the thing that will help create the most balance in your life. This is also going to square Mars in your 4th house. So this could indicate some changes within you emotionally, or even some changes within the home. So let's say you're wanting to move in with somebody, or let's say that you want to sell your home, or let's say that you're finally changing up your routine to let in a partner and let them into your sphere and your space. Or let's say that you're changing your emotions in regard to a specific topic. There's something where you need to alter your comfort zone and step outside of it and take a certain risk, especially an emotional risk that you have not done before. And I actually feel like that emotional risk, those changes are going to lead you to more financial prosperity and growth than before with this golden egg. I also think that there's something within this that's going to help you create a little bit more of this kind of confident leadership energy, especially with this new moon making a sextile to Pluto in your 11th. Oh, it's so loud. I don't know if you guys can hear this on the microphone, but this chipper is so distracting. But they're kind of going for a while, so I'm going to record this anyway. So the Elk card is very much somebody who stands in their leadership. They are the masculine energy. They are not afraid to be heard, to take charge. They are stable, resilient, headstrong. This is like the father figure energy in your life. So the great elk represents the earth element in its masculine form. It provides underlying support and stability amongst life's many challenges. The elk personality is established in themselves and knows their values, and they become known and respected for acting in ways that uphold those values. So I think that there's something about this where you're actually drawing more energy of this elk into your home or within yourself. So it's either you having some type of like almost father figure within the home, or kind of structure within the home that establishes this kind of authority and stability, or you guys are doing that within yourselves. Like, I need to step up. I need to take charge. I need to be seen. I need to create the stability and lasting success for myself. So there's something around that where you guys are needing to like either attract it from the outside to your home, or quite literally from the inside out. We also have this making a sextile to Pluto in the 11th, which I think is going to help you start to flourish more in your friendship and community sector. So whatever this change happens in your life is going to support you to actually go out and make new connections and feel like you are totally great. Like you have the energy, you have the capacity, you have the money, the time to go out and see new people and make new friends and put yourself out there a little bit more. And some of you could be moving, for example, to a new community and putting yourself out there a little bit more and needing to feel confident and courageous and stable within oneself in order to go do that. And Pluto has been at 29 degrees of Capricorn. So there's been kind of a lot going on in terms of shifting friends, shifting community. There's been a little bit of like a crisis mode in that area of your life for, it was more recent, but that is starting to, bear fruit. You know, whatever was kind of falling away, whatever wasn't working in terms of friends, especially with this death card. If there are certain friends that you're kind of moving away from, or you don't have as much time to spend with, it's for a purpose, and it's actually to help align you with better people, maybe closer people that can be more supportive for you. Let me pull one more card as to what that death card means, and then we'll kind of start wrapping up. But I just really see you guys becoming a lot more strong within yourself. With Mars in the 4th trining Saturn in your 1st house, Saturn just moved into your 1st house, you're meant to be really solidifying yourself with that structure, with the masculine, with the discipline, with the work. Like you're meant to really have firmer boundaries, firmer goals, expectations, meet them, like have resilience. There's really a lot going on here with that. The death card came out to describe the death card. Wow, you guys are having major, major changes. And then we have the King of Pentacles. This is, again, another structure, another masculine card. So whatever Saturn moving into your first house is a super, super big deal for you guys. For the next 2.5 years, you're firming up yourself and becoming much more financially astute, planning more ahead for your future. And as a Pisces, this is kind of the harder part for you. You guys are more creative, you're more flowy. Having Saturn move into your sign is trying to put a lot of boundaries on you, which you guys are a very boundless sign, which is super beautiful, but it can also feel like constricting and uncertain and self-doubt. But I really see you guys transforming under that pressure like a diamond into this amazing asset, and super abundant, super in control, and disciplined in the ways that people really respect and look up to you for, that you're like a leader in your community. So I think you guys are going through a massive, massive transformation right now and over the next year, especially in the next 2.5 years even. And I am so here for it and so excited to see how that goes. So I'd love to hear how this resonates down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and if you enjoy this, share with your friends. Thanks, guys. Bye.